The topic we will be presenting about will be supporting English language learners in the general education classroom. The definition of an ELL, or an English language learner, is a student who is unable to communicate fluently or learn effectively in English. They often come from non-English speaking backgrounds and typically require specialized instruction in the English language and their academic courses. The following terms are interchanged throughout the world. ELL means an English language learner. ESL is an English as a second language. EFL is English as a foreign language. And LEP is a limited English proficiency. The two terms that commonly work together are the ESL and the EFL because the English as a second language means that many people speak it or those people are bilingual in the country and can learn the language from outside experiences. As when it comes to English as a foreign language, you can typically only learn this language in an educational environment. The picture on the screen now shows the relationship of every country in the world with the English language. If you direct your attention to the key, you can see that to what degree the language is used, whether it is the first official language, co-official with another majority language, or whether or not it is a very common language. As you can see, the majority of the world is colored white, which means that English is a minority language. It can be found, but it is not very common. In this next graphic, it shows you the 3 different steps of an English language learner's success in learning the English language. The first step to learning the English language is learning the basics, pronunciation, vocabulary, grammar, and then practicing everything you've learned. So when it comes to pronunciation, you have to learn this first. English pronunciation is not phonetic, so it is easy to learn new words with incorrect pronunciation. Vocabulary is a necessity when you need to learn the correct pronunciation, so you can use words correctly when you're speaking to other people who can also speak English. Grammar is the most important as it is the foundation to the English language. The more grammar you know, the easier the language will be to learn. And of course, practice makes perfect. Once you've mastered the basics, you move on to the basic skills that you get from the English language, which is listening, speaking, reading, and writing, which test your comprehension and understanding of the English language as you continue to learn. The final step can be fully encompassed by one word: practice. The amount of time spent practicing the English language determines the quality of your language speaking skills. And if you don't have any motivation to learn the language, it will be incredibly difficult to learn the language. And here are some facts on ELLs. That English language learners are the fastest growing segment of the student population. Not all ELL students are immigrants. More than 50% of them are born in the United States. Math and reading skills are more easily transferred in English, and English is best learned through content, like giving examples in real-life situations. ELLs sadly drop out at higher rates than any other student population. We'll begin this section with a quote by Julia Ward Ortloff. Remember to celebrate even the smallest victories because they are big to those students who achieve them. While this applies to all students, English language learners especially need us to support them, and celebrating their victories will encourage them to keep up with their hard work.
All right, so next we're going to talk about how to support your ELL students. The first thing you want to do is create a language-rich environment. Having access to lots of books and posters will create a great environment for your students to learn in. Knowing the relationship between the students' native language and English is very important. Knowing the similarities and differences between both of the languages will help you to focus areas of improvement. Simplifying the language is also very important, making sure that you speak clearly and naturally, but you're not dumbing it down to the point where you're making it hard for them to learn. Making it visual also helps. This is writing instructions and classroom procedures on the board, providing them with models of how to do things, and visual aids. Allow students the opportunity to work in small groups. This will help them build character and feel more comfortable with speaking the language in an environment that is safe. Keep your ELL students in the classroom. Don't take them out of the classroom. This actually ends up hurting them. They have a harder time relating their ELL curriculum to the general education classroom curriculum when they are pulled out. And it can end up being harmful to their learning to be taken out of a classroom right away when they get there. You want to make sure you're co-teaching with the ELL teacher. Make sure both of you guys are on the same page so you make it learning as easy as possible for your student. And shorten your lectures. This will keep the students engaged and wanting to learn in class. Have your students write. It is important that they are constantly writing so they become more confident with the English language. Pre-teach relevant content. This is allowing your ELL students to have resources before you start a new lesson so that they feel more comfortable when you start the lesson. So here are a few statistics on ELL students in the United States. Around 60% of all ELL students are graduating from high school.
Woohoo!
In 2014 and 2015, the number of ELL students in schools grew to 9.4% or 4.6 million students, and it continues to rise. In 2015, 3.7 million ELL students reported that they spoke Spanish at home. This is compared to Arabic, which was the second leading language, with 109,165 students. In the past 30 years, the foreign-born population of the United States has tripled. More than 14 million immigrants moved to the United States during the 1990s, and another 14 million are expected to arrive between 2000 and 2010. On this slide, I've added a little picture that you guys can look at, and it basically just describes the percentage of public school students who are English language learners by state, and this is for this year of 2014-2015. And if you look at it, you can see that Iowa is at 5.1%.
Next, we're going to talk about the problems encountered in an ESL classroom. So first is the overuse of their native language. It's very easy for ESL students to talk in their first language. The next one is students become overly dependent on their teachers. When students become stuck on work that they can't do, they will constantly ask their teacher for answers instead of trying for themselves. The third one that we'll talk about is their students are unclear of what to do or do the wrong thing. So the work may look confusing to the students, and the students may be unclear on what the instructions are. Next, the students are bored, inattentive, and unmotivated. When there isn't enough fun in the classroom, students become uninterested in the lesson they're being taught and tend to lose focus quickly. And the last one is the students are falling behind. So the students tend to feel lost and not as caught up as the other students may be within the classroom. And the solutions to the problems that we've addressed previously is establish a set of classroom rules and develop a penalty system for when they use their first language. And the next one is to focus on giving positive encouragement, and this will help make students more comfortable and more willing to answer questions even if they're incorrect. The third is use gestures, mimes, and short, concise sentences. Be clearly and strong, and most importantly, use models and examples for their activity. Next was to choose an interesting theme to the lesson, one that the students can relate to and you know that they will enjoy, and how this will automatically give them motivation and interest in their lesson. And last, make sure the students are all on the same page before moving on to a new topic by concept checking multiple times and encouraging individual participation. Now we're going to have a student talk about her personal experiences.
My name is Silvina Little, and as you may know, I'm an English language learner from Argentina. I would like to share with you some of the problems we face when learning the language in my country, and I will do it in my own language, but don't worry, there are gonna be subtitles. Antes que nada, me gustaría aclarar que la lengua inglesa es una lengua extranjera en Argentina, por lo que no tenemos muchas oportunidades de practicar y aprender la lengua en contextos no educativos. El Ministerio de Educación de cada provincia del país toma decisiones sobre la currícula, el presupuesto y otros temas relacionados a la educación. Los siguientes son algunos de los problemas generales relacionados a las escuelas públicas. El primer problema con que nos encontramos es que el nivel de la lengua inglesa enseñado es muy básico. Esto se debe a que se focaliza demasiado en la gramática de la lengua, aunque a un nivel superficial. Además, no hay un enfoque comunicativo y como consecuencia casi no se enseña pronunciación, por lo que se pierde una parte muy importante del uso de la lengua. Otro de los problemas que hace difícil que aprendamos inglés apropiadamente es que cuando aprendemos vocabulario nuevo no se proporciona un contexto o no es lo suficientemente rico para que el aprendizaje sea significativo. Por otra parte, los docentes tienden a no tener altas expectativas para con los estudiantes. Simplemente requieren que llenemos una evaluación que es casi idéntica a los ejercicios hechos en clase y que evalúan memoria, no comprensión. Finalmente, y puede que sea el problema más peligroso de todos, los estudiantes que no ven el propósito de aprender inglés confían en traductores en línea al realizar deberes, actividades en clase o incluso durante evaluaciones. Por supuesto que el panorama cambia cuando se habla de las escuelas privadas, pero desafortunadamente la mayoría de los estudiantes y sus familias no pueden costearlas. In order to mitigate these issues, the Universidad Nacional de Villa María, which is the university I attend, carries on once every 2 years a national conference on English language teaching. This offers teachers around the country a space to debate, share, and learn about different issues related to English teaching, socialize results on projects conducted by professors and students of different universities, and rethink teaching practices to better satisfy students' needs. This year, during June, the fourth National Conference on English Language Teaching was aimed at addressing teaching and learning in mixed ability groups. In this context, knowledgeable people such as Susan Hilliard, Susana Liruso, and Liliana Pagola coordinated a series of workshops hand in hand with professors from UNVM. In the same way, students and professors from our university are encouraged to conduct research on the education field. The research project I am part of is titled Teaching for Comprehension, Documentation as a Means to Empower Higher Education Students in the Development of Thinking Dispositions. Our research team is mainly concerned with 3 themes. The first of them is documentation, which is understood not as an end or a final product, but rather as a mean to make things visible and to reflect upon our learning processes. The second of them is teamwork, which is differentiated from group work in the sense that teamwork implies all the members of the team working towards a main goal together in collaboration and cooperation. And the third of them is the thinking dispositions as proposed by Shara Tishman. She argues that thinking dispositions are habits of mind that make our thinking good and productive. Tishman argues that there are 7 different thinking dispositions. Among them, it is the thinking disposition to be metacognitive, which is related to the tendency to be aware and monitor the flow of our own thinking, being alert and being able to identify thinking situations and how we got to have a particular thought, and the ability to control our processes and reflect upon them continuously. Together with being metacognitive, it is the thinking disposition to be intellectually careful. This is the ability to be precise and organized and express our ideas in a complete way to make it easier for the audience to understand us. It is paramount that apart from having and developing our thinking dispositions, we as teachers help students develop their own so that they become independent learners. When it comes to English language learners, these 3 topics will incredibly contribute to the development of language skills. During the conference that I mentioned before, our research team proposed an activity to illustrate the development of our 3 themes. It consisted in having students asking their own questions instead of just answering them. In the pictures, you might see on-service teachers as well as prospective teachers carry on the activities, as well as members of the team documenting their procedures.
We have provided these discussion questions so that you may reflect upon what you have learned in this presentation. Thank you for watching our presentation.
Hasta luego. Besitos. Chao, chao.